Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Get Dirty Garage. Again, my apologies for taking so long in between, but finally back on the Elco today, so get some stuff done. I think what we're going to try and tackle will be kind of some covers for the engine compartment, try and smooth that out. Just so that you know, I did start recording some of that in the old shop, and finally got everything down here and arranged and able to continue on and get stuff going in this shop. So anyways, a long time in between. My apologies, but we are back on the Elco, so hey, we got a ton to do, so let's go ahead and let's get dirty. Is this thing on? Yeah. Okay guys, now that we've got that engine cover and stuff done, what I want to try and do is to build some some covers or something to go over these inner fender wells that we can paint body color and smooth all that stuff out, and maybe something over the radiator here, kind of make it look thoughtful, I guess, but close it out, make it a little bit more custom. And I'm going to play around with a little bit of cardboard and see if I can mock up something to put in there and see what kind of shapes and other fun stuff that we can come up with. So I'm going to get started on that, and then we will check in and see what the thoughts are. So that's the plan for today. All right, so I played around a bunch with some just poster board, I think it is, but there's a little lip under these fenders that I think I can tuck up underneath and make it look fairly clean, and just looking for kind of a swoop down, and actually made a little thing for the front here, and I've taped a couple of just strips of metal to it to kind of hold a shape. I don't know, we'll figure that out as we figure out the shape as we go, I guess. But if we can get something that lays in there, gives us this kind of fun stuff, and then can kind of close all this stuff out, so all this can be body color and so on. I can't go too deep in there. I still got to get airflow and everything through. But I think this is kind of my vision, I guess, for that engine compartment, is kind of highlighting the engine cover, and then the rest of this will be hopefully smooth transitions and so on. So at this point, I think we'll start playing with figure out how to make maybe a mounting strategy and fun stuff like that, and try and refine these a little bit. But yeah, I think it's kind of close of my thought process on what I'd like it to look like underneath there. So I'll have to figure out some closeouts around here, and I don't even know if the hood will close and stuff, but at this point, but we'll figure that out. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and start playing around with trying to make some brackets or something to attach these two, because right now I just got them propped up on some rolls of tape. But yeah, I think that'll make a statement. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, let's pick it up from there. Okay, so here's what I've been playing around with. As you can see, there's like an inner fender structure and this outer sheet metal, and they're all welded together and stuff, but there's a little bit of a little bit of a gap in between them, and I think what I can do is to take, this is a 1/8 inch by 3/4 inch bar, some expensive Home Depot stock, but I think I can actually get that to slide up underneath there. Should have room for another, you know, and then skin that with sheet metal, but that should actually hold the top pretty good if we can get a mounting strategy on the bottom. And you know, maybe a couple more strips of this and kind of build down to a mounting point. So, but I think that will work for the top portion of that. Give me some solid structure, and then there's these little flubber rubber things that are hood bumpers, and those should actually pinch down on that and hold that in place really good. So I think that'll work for the top. Let me see if I can figure out, you know, some hoops in here and how we want to put that together, and then we'll pick it up at that point. Okay, so here's the plan. I got that top piece that kind of can wedge in there, and I bent a couple of other, these are like 18 inches long, but I bent a couple of those up, and I think I can maybe kind of attach those. Big mess. I'm gonna clean off my working area there every once in a while. But I think I can attach those something like that-ish. And that way, you know, kind of catch that swoop going down, and then tack another piece onto this end to kind of hold the bottom and have a spot to you know, attach to and all that fun stuff. So I'm gonna get this all jigged up here, and then we'll tack it together and see if that whole thought process works, and go from there. Okay, well that should give us a frame start, I guess, and that'll be something that we can skin the sheet metal over. So let's go see if it fits in the car like I think it should. So go from there. All right, so I'm thinking that this can be kind of dropped in like so and slide under that lip. Kind of give us some framework, and then if I take my template and kind of lay it over the top of that, gets us in the general ballpark here. Kind of for shape and placement, I guess. Something like that edge. That should, you know, that should actually hold things in place, I think. So that could give us a swoop down. So now I think what I'll do is I'm going to try and figure out a little bracket or something, try and figure out what to do on the bottom of this, and make maybe a couple of little brackets, I don't know, but off of this inner fender, and just come out a little bit to kind of catch, or a trough or something that I can slide that down into and then clip that over that way. So yeah. So let's see what we can dream up there, and then pick it up at that point. Okay, so here's what I got to deal with. This is going to go a little bit lower than this opening for the A-arm, you know, and make sure that's got plenty of room to travel and everything. So I think I'm going to put a bracket like between here and back here, and you know, maybe straight line this way. And I'm thinking I can probably use the old leftover chunks from the wheelbarrow here, because it's pretty stiff. But you know, maybe take some long pieces out of it or something and tack them together, and then be able to, you know, put this down in here somehow, and that way I can kind of bridge that gap for the A-arm, and then kind of get to the back side of this. So let me do a little bit of straightening on this piece. I mean, it's nice and stiff because it's folded over and so on, so I think it will offer some good support. And you know, as I said, you use what you got. So that, I think, is the plan for right now. Get this kind of shaped and parallel how I think everything's got to go in there. But yeah, we'll play with that just a little bit and figure out what's going on. So pick it up from there. Okay, I'm going to try and straighten out a little bit of this portion of this bracket here. It's got some reinforcements in it, so, but just try and get kind of a straight piece out of this. What we can accomplish here. Gotta love working with metal. It kind of will flow back in shape that it kind of came from. So. Well, I think that will give us enough of a straight portion there. I'm gonna go play with this a little bit on the car, see where we kind of got to cut ends off and so on, and you know, kind of make a guess on how to make it fit. So we will go from there. Okay, so did a little bit of messing around on the car. Kind of got some areas marked out where you can cut this end off and have to build like a little bracket here. But this end I can kind of turn this way and mount to the back of that inner fender liner. So I'm going to hack these places off. That way I can kind of bend this end here. Okay, so I'm thinking something like that. We'll go play with that a little bit on the car, and then figure out something on the other end of that. So I think we're gaining on it. All right. Well, after fussing around, this is the back side of it, and after fussing around with on the car, it's going to make a little L bracket or something up here. But I thought, you know, I got these ends that I cut off. I think I'll make just a little hoop to go in there, and that'll be even stronger, I think. So I'm gonna just zap these two together real quick and see if we can't make, and then we'll do some fitting on that fun stuff, but see if we can't make an attachment point for both sides here. So man, I need to clean that stuff up. Let's see, about straight, kinda ish. All right, just a couple of quick zaps, and then we'll finish it up. Cut that very straight, did I? Kind of straightish. Okay, let me grind this down, and then we'll figure out if we can actually put it on the back side of this bracket. So, or yeah, front side, back side, that side. So we'll pick it up there. Okay, so here's my semi-finished wheelbarrow leg bracket that I'm thinking I can attach to this inner fender. Probably just a couple of screws through either end, and then build some sort of a loop down at the bottom to catch the bottom of this baby. So that is the excuse me, that is the plan, and I'll try and find a good spot to locate that, but it should be good and sturdy. And you know, I think if we just if we can make some loops off the bottom of this in order to catch the bottom of that fender tin as it goes down, we should be in good shape. So I'm gonna tinker around with that. Let me get this mounted in there kind of temporarily, and we will pick it up at that point. Okay, so I got my crazy wheelbarrow leg contraption just mounted to that inner fender with couple of screws for the moment. So when I plug this frame in, I got a a spot where I can get some little brackets and catch the bottom of that frame and hold it in place. Don't want to get too close to anything, but I want to close out as much as I can. So maybe this is probably 3/4 of an inch of a space here. So I'm going to make some brackets that go down and then out, kind of just in an L, and try and catch the bottom of this frame, and that way I have something to rest on. So let me get to forming something like that up, but I think we are gaining on a structure for that inner fender. So we'll go from there. Okay, so I made a couple of little these whoop-de-doos, and I can weld this part to the bracket, and then the other tin can slide in between those two little slots there. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp these on here. I'll take a look and see if it's holding everything, and once we do that, then we can zap them into place. But I think this will give a little clip action, I think, to the bottom of that, so it's easily removable. Got a little bit lower there. I think those will be able to come in and out of there. So I'm going to zap those together real quick, and then we'll take a look at it. So I know it's a little hard to see down in there, but we'll get those together, and then I'll give you an update. Okay, so those have got zapped in there, and basically they're just catching the bottom of that little frame and kind of giving it a little bit of support on the back side. So I think when I pull this frame up out of here, you can flex that into place, and that should keep it pretty solid and sturdy in the car, and that way we will have it easily removable. So that's the frame. I think we've got a pretty decent strategy on mounting that. So let me finish up that bracket, kind of clean it up, and maybe throw a little paint on it, and we will pick it up at that point. Okay, so here's my finished and painted attempt at making a bracket. So no, it looks a little funky, but there's dips and curves and everything else to that inner fender. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this strapped in there real quick, and then if we did things right, then that frame should actually set down in there and kind of wedge itself up in there. So hopefully it'll be solid. So let me get this in here. Try and get stuff lined up. Longer arms. I got 2 screws holding the front and 2 holding the back, so hopefully that will be 20. Get all the support that a growing boy needs. Alright. Get these other two in there, and then we will take a quick gander at trying that frame out here. Alright, so let's see about our guess on everything. So now it's all welded up and in place, so I think the easiest way it's going to be to get that in there will be to set it in the bottom and kind of pinch to the side here. Okay. So I think that will hold that in place. So time to actually kind of refine that template a little bit, and then let's get to kind of skinning this and see what it looks like. So let me work on that template and get that going, and then we'll pick it up as we get some metal work. Okay, so I got my template refined and laid out on a cleaned up piece of sheet metal here. A couple of things. I extended the bottom of that and made some little notches in there so that, you know, those little fingers that come up there, I think that'll locate it front and back. And then I'm not gonna cut out this section here until after I bend it, so that I get a curve in both of those pieces. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna end up folding it, you know, in here. So let's get this cut out and start making some metal dust. Okay, so here's our starting point. Let me clean up some edges, clean up the backside, and then let's get to bending. Okay, well, I got this all cut out and kind of trimmed, a little bit cleaned up. Got a few more things to do. I left this chunk in there to go around the hinges till after I go through this very technical bending process. Basically, I've got to make this kind of match this contour-ish, something like that. So, make a bending jig out of a knee here, and just start putting some gentle persuasion in it. So we'll see how close we can get. A little bit at a time so I don't do any folding. Trying to make that curve kind of equal. Lost my thingy. And I think if we're patient with this, kind of close-ish. So we got to come just a little bit more, as you can see. Well, we're getting in the ballpark. I think that's getting pretty close. We'll throw a few more tweaks in this and then clamp it up. Well, I think let me cut out this section here first before we clamp it and weld it. But yeah, I think that's a gentle enough profile. Should do what we're after. So, see any kinks? I think we're good to go. We'll make that our next project, is cutting that out. I think I'll drill a couple holes in the corners here with maybe a Christmas tree bit, you know, and try and round those thingies off so it looks professional. But yeah, I think we're in the ballpark. So we'll pick it up at that point. By the way, I went to the store the other day, had the absolute slowest, rudest cashier I've ever seen, probably the worst on the planet. I tell you, that is the absolute last time I ever use the self-checkout lanes. Okay, well, let's get some work done. Okay, well, I got this section cut out and cleaned up and got the kind of the frame clamped in here. Really all the frame is going to do is just try and help keep the sheet metal in shape, but I'm just going to tack it in a few spots around just to hold them together. Don't need to be solid at all, but just see if we can't get everything just kind of as one. So let me grab a pair of pliers here real quick though, so I can pinch that stuff together as I go along. The clamps are good, but I want to make sure where I'm putting a tack they are together. So we'll zap these up. Alright, so let me clean this up again, and then let's go see if it actually fits in the car. So that'll be next. Okay, so I've got this cleaned up and trimmed up a little bit, so let's see how this goes. I'm gonna have to put this bottom in first. Hit the slots there and just kind of push and tuck here. Okay, let's see seriously solid in there. So I think that's kind of the closeout look that we're after. Yeah, I might have to do something up here though. Close out this. Looking down this way, you can kind of see all the way to the ground. So let me figure out something to, I don't know, maybe a little panel on that side of it. I don't think this side I can do anything. But let me play with that for a second, and then we'll catch up at that point. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. I think, you know, standing on this side and looking down, you can just see too much. So if I add a piece going kind of straight down, I think that will actually close that out pretty decent. Maybe provide a little bit of extra strength in there too. So let me just do a couple of quick bends here. Somewhere about there. Fit down in there a little bit. Looks like I gotta take some over here because of that fender. Well, just I think that's kind of what I'm thinking, just to close out that portion of it. Let me play with this just a little bit, find out where my interferences are, and then see if we can't get these bends right and make a tack or two. So let me continue playing, and then we will catch up on the back side. Okay, so here's kind of that final pocket formation. Basically, it's going to have to slide down in there, and I've got to get this side tacked up flush, and because this kind of rolls down, this is going to sit high, so I think I'll just tack it in place on this side. And then, you know, in order for that to go straight down, clear the hinge and everything, and then I can just tack this portion to it, and I'll have to grind that lip off in order for it to kind of go straight up and down in that slot. So let me do that real quick. See if I can't get just a spot to hold it in there. And I can pull that whole mess out of the car and weld it up and try and make it look pretty, I guess. So Let's see what we can come up with here. Start with this corner being flush. Okay, now let me pull this up out of here and get this welded and ground down, and we'll take a look at it then. Okay, so I've got a little pocket in there now. You can kind of see, I think, it goes in there, but let's see now if everything still goes in. It should. Bottom in first. Okay. Yeah, everything looks good. So let's back this up just a little bit and make sure the hood closes on those hinges. Oops, and the light. Yeah, we should be good there. So, I think at this point it is a rinse and repeat activity over the other side. So, let me get busy with that, and then we will catch up at that point. Okay, well, this side proved to be quite a bit trickier because I had to go around the brake booster and intake and all sorts of stuff over here. So, but I think we got it to the point. We got it to the point where we can get this in here. Same process. But brake booster makes it a little tricky on this side. Go. It's not down on my clips. Okay. So there we have both sides of that. Let me give you kind of a quick tour of the whole thing. I think that's kind of what I was envisioning. Got the little pockets for the hinges. Now we just got to figure out something up here. And we got a whole bunch of different stuff to go around and up and over and curves in 3 directions, but I think those look good. So call that a win. And let's start making plans for the front here. So we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so I have played with this template 1,000 times over and kind of got it, I think, where kind of like where the lines are and so on. It's just going to be a real challenge because this is on a different level and it's got to go up and then over and then back down. So I'm hoping I can make that out of one piece, but I guess really all that's left to do at this point is take that template off and lay it out and see if I can make it go flat on a piece of sheet metal and see what happens. So that'll be next. Okay, well, I did get my template transferred onto a piece of metal and cleaned up, and yeah, kind of looks like a Klingon battle axe at this point. I think they call it a battle axe or something. So anyways, let's put this kind of to the beast and see what we gotta figure out and do from there. So we'll give that one a shot. Okay, so looking at this, the thought of making it out of one piece may be impossible. I'm not sure yet, but this is pretty, I mean, this side kind of goes up like this, and this kind of ramps up, and then this comes down. So I'm not sure really kind of if I can make that corner without making a whole bunch of a mess out of that sheet metal, because this is pretty tight, I think, to the hood. It's got some whoop-de-doo and stuff in there, but anyways, putting all that fun stuff in there, this is kind of starting point at least of getting an idea. So let's put some curve down into this side, see if we can get something in there, and then kind of go from that. So let me just put this over my knee real quick, see if we can't get a bend going. That's going to take a little doing, I think. So let me go try and put that in maybe a break or something and see if we can't put some curve to it. So we'll figure out something. Go. All right. So anyways, let's see what we can come up with here. Can't have much curve to these sides. But that's got to go down. Okay, well, we gotta tuck this portion down some more. This is kind of got to be flat up in this area, and kind of, let me see if I can roll just across like here someplace. So let me play with that a little bit, and then we'll get back on the car and see what we come up with. Okay, after a whole bunch of messing around and some dolly work and, you know, bending and pushing and so on, I kind of got this fitting in somewhat smooth. Obviously a lot more work to do on edges and so on, but I think since this area has to come down and go back up, what I'm thinking I'm going to do is pin these corners down. There's a fender bolt right underneath there. I think I'll drill a couple of holes, pin these corners down, and then kind of use the car as a kind of a dolly maybe, and see if I can't persuade this portion down. If not, then we'll have to cut it and make it into a couple pieces. So really don't have much to lose there. So anyways, let me knock a couple holes in there, see if I can get these corners pinned down, and then we'll do some hammering. Okay, got the corners pinned down, so let's just start taking an assortment of hammers and see if we can't nudge this into submission, I guess. So here goes. Okay, so at least we've got a start on this. I think let me work on this a little bit more. I'm going to have to do a little bit of rebending on the back side, but let me see if I can get a decent curve to this, and then we'll see how everything fits up after that. So a whole bunch of hammer and dolly work, and we will catch on the other side. Okay, so after multiple hours of hammer and dolly work and bending and fussing, and then a couple more hours of metal finishing, here's the shape that came up with. Full disclosure, did have to slice 2 spots in these corners, try and get that little fold in there, but I think from that standpoint, it looks like it kind of belongs there. Obviously, it's going to need some body work and finishing and so on, but it does set down in there like I think it should. Kinda. And I think what I can do is kind of use these holes that we use to excuse me, just kind of tie those corners down. I think I can mount that there. But I think from that perspective everything looks kind of smooth. Let me show you a little bit show you a little bit more, and then I got some ideas on how to keep things from touching and rattling and so on. So let's take a quick look, and then I'm gonna go ahead and primer up the back side of this, and you'll see why here in a minute. So we'll go from there. Okay, so this is kind of end finish. Obviously it's gonna need some body work in here, but I did go ahead and kind of leave a little gap. Tried to make it even and around both sides there, just because I know that, you know, going down the road and installing and uninstalling and so on, this is going to scratch, because this will be body color. So I really didn't want to scratch a whole bunch of stuff, and once that's in there, I got a big chunk of stuff I want to put on the back of that so it doesn't rattle around. Got some cushion to it, but hood does close, so we should be in good shape there, and we'll get on to the next part. Okay, so just threw some black primer on the back side of that, and what I'm going to do is get some coating on here so that it doesn't itch or rattle or scrape or anything like that. So what I'm going to use is a chunk of rubber roofing material for like a flat roof. It's pretty thin and pretty tough. I mean, I had that's one good thing about moving, is you find stuff that you forgot you had. So this was from a roofing project I did 10-12 years ago or something like that. So I'm just going to put a layer of spray adhesive down on both of those, and then let's stick them together, and that way we should be kind of insulated. So we'll pick it up at that point. Okay, so the obligatory 5 minutes of drying time has elapsed, so let's see if we can't figure out where to put this. I'm guessing about there-ish. And I'm just using like regular spray adhesive. I think it's 3M stuff. I don't know, it was on the shelf, so nothing needed for like super high strength or anything, I don't think. So I just want to get this so it doesn't itch or scratch or random stuff like that. So shouldn't rattle. If we've got some rubber backing. And what I'll do is on kind of these edges where it meets like the sides and stuff, I think I'm going to cut it just a little bit long, maybe 1/4 inch or something like that, so it can create kind of a seal, maybe, I don't know, but okay, let's see See if we can't cut out the random holes that are needed here. If we can locate them. Okay, so I think that will kind of keep everything from itchy, scratching, everything else. So we'll flop this over. And this front edge I'm going to trim even. Okay, now these other edges, I'm going to leave maybe a 1/4 inch to start with, and okay, so let's go flop that in the car and see what it looks like and go from there. Okay, as you can see, just kind of left a little rubberized edge all the way around there, so we have to make sure that we get the glue stuck on there good. But since this is kind of metal covering metal, I didn't want itching and scraping and, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. So okay, well, not too bad. I got a little bit of fitting to do. I'm going to trim these a little bit shorter, I think. So let me do that, and then we'll take a final look, see what you think. Okay, so here we go on engine compartment covers. I think you know, obviously this needs body work and paint. I just spritz just a quick coat of clear on it, keep it from rusting. Man, everything rusts down here. But as you can see, kind of left that rubber in there for just kind of a insulation device. I put just a little slice of it in the back there as well, so it doesn't scratch up the firewall when all that's installed. But to me, I think that kind of dresses everything up. So let me know what you think. Leave me a comment, and obviously we'll get to working on all smoothing it all out and fun stuff like that after we pick colors and so on. But I'm happy with it, so it's good. Okay guys, well, I think that's going to do it for this edition of Let's Get Dirty Garage. Thanks for your patience, and I know it's been a while bringing you some content here, so again, my apologies. I'll try and get back on it on a regular basis, but I think we got a lot accomplished today. I like the way things look. Got some fitting to do and finishing to do, but dresses it up and closes it out, so got places to hide stuff, you know, hide the wiring, hide the tubulars and all that fun stuff. But anyways, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, and good or bad, you know, it's all good. So enjoy reading them. Hey, I can't thank you guys enough for watching. Appreciate it so much. I mean, it's just amazing to me that we're able to you know, reach out and, you know, meet new folks and all doing stuff that we kind of like to do anyway. So, but yeah, leave me a comment. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell somebody, I don't care, tell your cat, see if they can subscribe, I don't care. But anyways, I appreciate it, and hey, we'll see you next time. Take care.